I want to thank all of you for being here this morning. We are here to announce that last week the ISO, which is the Insurance Service Organization, issued the highest rating for the City of Syracuse Fire Department and one of the highest scores in New York State. We received a new rating of 95.64, which is one of the highest scores in New York State and is the highest score that the Syracuse Fire Department has ever gotten. Because of this high score, we are able to keep our commercial insurance rates lower, and we are also able to provide the residents and the people of the city of Syracuse the highest protection that they have become accustomed to. As all of us know, these are challenging times for cities and local governments across the country. And we here in the city of Syracuse have seen fire departments that are neighbors who have had to have layoffs and do a number of, make a number of really tough choices that they did not want to make. Because of the leadership of this department, we have not had to lay off any firefighters. Because of the leadership of this department, we have taken the challenges that come with assisting local governments and come with local governments and have been able to use technology and diligence and a work ethic to be able to provide the people of this community this high rating. To the left of me, we have a chart which shows all of the city of Syracuse that is located within a 1.5 mile radius of a fire station. And you can see that overwhelmingly the entire city is covered by that. This was done, again, through the sheer hard work and ingenuity of our fire department being able to utilize the resources that we have to plan and work through the challenges that we have done. So I also want to take this opportunity to thank the water department as well, because this ISO rating also includes our water department, which work to make sure that our fire hydrants get the water that they need and the pressure that they need to be enable our fire trucks when need be to hook up into them. So I want to just take a moment to read out some language that was presented to us in the report. The ISO commends the leadership of the Syracuse Fire Department for being able to improve the fire protection services provided to city residents and businesses. Considering some of the pressures they needed to manage, it is an impressive accomplishment, and we congratulate them. The ISO rates fire departments once every 5 years, and in 2012, the last time the city was rated, the IS score was 93.84. The new score is 95.64, and this score is based on 4 categories: the fire department, the water distribution system, which, as I said, is our water department, the receipt and transmission of fire alarms, working along with the Onondaga County 911 Center, and the community risk reduction. Each of these categories looks at specific elements of the fire department operations, including equipment, personnel, water system quality, code enforcement standards in the 911 system, and as the independent validator and the insurance organization, they take together all of this information and then give us this rating. So I was pleased to be able to accept this rating and take this opportunity to commend the leadership of the fire department, thank the ISO for recognizing the hard work and the incredible leadership that this fire department has had, and then being able to share that news with all of you. So with that, I would be happy to take any questions that anyone has.
How does response time compare today, not only for the first arriving trucks, but the remaining trucks to 4 years ago or so when you closed Fire Station 7 and started changing?
Well, I want to talk generally, and then I'll ask Chief Leonards to answer that specifically. So this rating includes this post-closing a fire station. And actually the ISO talked about that, how what a testament it was to the ingenuity and skill and leadership of the fire department that despite closing a firehouse, we were able to not just maintain, but improve our rating. This rating looks at fire response time and looks at all of those qualities along with everything else. So like everything else in life, you can't just look at one data point and judge an entire department by that one data point. That being said, the data point has shown that we are within a 1.5 mile radius, and there has been no measurable decrease in quality with fire truck arrivals, as evidenced by this high rating. Now with that, let me turn to the chief who can talk specifically about that.
Good morning. I don't have any real data about
They're asking you to come forward.
Sorry, I don't have any real data about later arriving apparatus. The NFPA standard that the ISO references is the first arriving apparatus, and that standard is that the apparatus arrives within 4 minutes, and at structure fires in the city of Syracuse, our average response time for our first arriving vehicle is 2 minutes and 20 seconds, which is phenomenal.
How does that compare to last time?
It's roughly the same. I can provide you with data where our response time to structure fires has been roughly the same for the past 10 years.
Now, I had read that the arrival time for the backup, the remaining crews, was like a minute later than before the station closed. Can you address that at all?
I don't have data on that.
Will anything change now that there's less overtime going forward? Will you be able to maintain this rating? Is there any trouble looking at that?
No, the rating will not change based on overtime. There will always be 65 firefighters on duty in the city of Syracuse, distributed through the 9 fire stations, as you see here, and that's where the rating is generated from.
My understanding was that firefighters provided support to, in some ways, the EMTs with ambulances and things as well, and that staffing changes may have affected their responses with the ambulances. Is there any analysis about whether this has created a delay in responses to civilians for those types of calls?
There's no delay in the sense that if a Mini had gone to a medical alarm, there would be 2 firefighters left in the station on the engine. So whether it's an ambulance that went out or whether it's a mini pumper that went out to answer a medical alarm didn't really change the fact that there were still 2 firefighters available in the station.
Why do you think that all of these firefighters are here today? What do you hear as their message from yesterday's vote on the censure?
Discuss that? I think that that's probably most appropriate for me to answer. Look, these are challenging times. Paul Lenertz makes decisions at my behest. Let me be very clear about that. And I have never been more proud to stand with somebody than I have with Chief Lenertz and Chief Young and the fire department. The fire department has an excellent reputation for, as it used to be said, for doing anything that was asked as long as it wasn't illegal. But these are challenging times for local governments. There's tremendous pressure for pension payments, for health care payments, for the pressure. The fire department is our second most expensive department that we have in the city of Syracuse. All you need to do is look to the north and see what happened in the city of Oswego, where they laid off a number of firefighters. My charge to the fire department and to Paul Lenertz has been, first and foremost, we want to keep the people who are in the city of Syracuse safe. Second off, we want to do it in the most efficient way that we can, because we can't simply just spend money because we don't have that money. So what we have been able to do is say, we want to keep people safe, we want to keep our fire department and our firefighters trained and safe, and so that has meant that we've had to make hard decisions. Clearly, closing a firehouse is not an easy decision. I did it in an election year. But as a consequence of that decision, we have not laid off one firefighter. We have hired more classes of firefighters, and we have been able to do all of that without significantly reducing, and in fact, according to the ISO, which is the way that you measure how good your fire department is, we've been able to do all of that and keep excellent responsiveness and excellent quality of service. So, look, am I surprised that the firefighters were frustrated over the closing of the firehouse? Clearly not. But I think that it's times like this when having the data at your fingertips and looking at the service that we provide should be how we measure our levels of frustration.
I know that you said that he really answers to you, so I would ask the same question of you. What do you see as their message to you? Do you hear it? Does the ISO take morale into account, which they say is very low?
Here's what I have to say about morale. Every time that we have put out a call for people to become Syracuse firefighters, we have had more people respond to that call than we've been able to hire. So in terms of, there are lots of people who want to be Syracuse firefighters, and we can't hire a fraction of them. So I would think that when you're looking at the morale of a department, that when you look to see how many people are interested in becoming a firefighter, that that's important. That when you look at the challenges that we have and that we haven't laid off any firefighters, that that's important. When you look at the fact that we have been able to negotiate a contract that kept their benefits, that we've been making their pension payments in full, unlike other municipalities, that we haven't borrowed for that, and that most important, that the people of this city know and believe that they have excellent fire protection services.
Do you think that this is a sign that maybe you need to sit down with some of the members here and discuss some of their concerns?
I think that we have had multiple discussions, and we will continue to have multiple discussions and have conversations. But we live within a budget, and there are we only have certain resources to do things. We can't we can't reopen that fire station, and I think that that is a frustration that has continued to be a part of the union's problems. I would suggest to them that, again, all they have to do is look at what happened in Oswego to realize, or other places across the country, look at what's happening in Newburgh, other places across the country to see, and across the state, what is happening to fire departments that do not have the kind of leadership of Chief Leonard's, that they're laying firefighters off, they're closing more fire stations, and you're seeing a lot of people with what people assumed would be something that is sacred, that with the kind of financial constraints that all municipalities are living under, no longer is sacred.
Mayor, one of the other assertions is that there isn't transparency. They brought up several months ago that of the recent dismissal of a firefighter that was quite prominent in the news, but they said they weren't included in the hearings. Is there a communication problem between your administration and the union?
You know, I don't think that there is a communication problem. I think that when we communicate, they don't like the information that we give them.
Chief, is there anything you'd like to say on this issue?
I mean, we would like to hear from the chief because, I mean, obviously the censure focused on you, so it would make sense to hear, as the leader of the department, what that means to you.
Sure.
And
Chief, you want to?
What is your question?
what's the message that you get from that censure? Why do you think it happened? Are there changes that you would plan to make because of it?
The censure comes from the State Professional Firefighters Association. The people that you see behind you are all members of the State Professional Firefighters. They're all professional firefighters throughout the state of New York. Very few of the people standing here are from the city of Syracuse or members of the Syracuse Firefighters Union. So to be censured by this organization, it doesn't impact me. They're not from Syracuse. They've heard one side of a story. They haven't heard both sides of the story, which is almost always the case.
What is the other side of the story then? What,
Personnel matters and things that I'm not discussing at this time.
do you think that there's a morale problem in
I do not. Every firefighter I talk to says they love coming to work every day. That's what I would use as my benchmark, not the complaint of the union. I understand the union's position, but morale is not a complaint that the fire chief isn't responsive to them. Morale is these guys coming to work every day and loving coming to work.
One of the claims was that there's a hostile work environment. How would you answer that?
I don't believe that to be true.
If it's not your local members that push that censure, who do you think is the driving force behind it?
Well, clearly the driving force behind it is the president of the local 280 here in Syracuse, who brought forward some measure to this group of people and asked them to vote on it.
Let me just also say that when the first time that I heard of this was yesterday when I got a call from the media. So when you talk about communications and transparency, there was no communication to us about the fact that this was being discussed. about what the other side of it was, I clearly would have said, hey, look at what we just got this rating from the ISO that says is the highest rating the city has ever gotten. And we would have had a chance to sit down and talk through some of these issues. But, you know, and look, having been involved in these kind of matters for a long time, you know, people choose to make decisions the way they choose to make decisions. But I can tell you that I stand firmly in the belief that this fire department is providing excellent service, and the union wants to have more of what they want to have. Well, that's only one part of this whole equation of how we run a department.
When was the last time the leadership sat down with members to talk about some of these issues, and who initiated that?
Well, look, we culminated a collective bargaining agreement, so that happened whenever there are personnel matters, grievances, it happens there. But there are also very clear rules about when you can and how you can communicate with union membership and how you can't. But I see firefighters all the time, and I talk to them all the time. This is not a city where I am isolated from that. So I would say the same with that Chief Leonard says. Every firefighter tells me that they love to come to work. Every firefighter is coming to work. They're providing excellent service as supported by the ISO. We have people by the dozens, if not hundreds, who are interested in becoming Syracuse firefighters. All of those are kind of the independent facts that you look at to make sure that your department is running efficiently and effectively and providing high quality service. All right, is there anybody else who has a question? All right, thank you all very much. Have a good day.